Hello and welcome back to our look at the Legends of Ellaria Early Access Reboard. We're on version 0.5.38.10 and this version is the one that we're playing today on Halloween night. So it's the 31st of October here in Japan and the Halloween special has been released. So if like me you logged on, you're thinking, hang on, where's the pumpkin head that was in the picture? So first thing you might do is check the chest here. It's not there. Okay. Next thing you might do is maybe talk to this guy, see what he has to say. Nothing really. Okay. So what you actually do is pop outside. I can't wait till my city looks like this picture, by the way. I want a city like that. Look, there's actual people there, not just the same guy walking around magically holding sticks up. But it's a long process for a game like this. And you might actually notice that this building here was part of that picture as well. But we pop across here to what is now our home. Enter in. And then over here, look at this. We've got our pumpkin. So let's take that. Okay, and then let's go to our inventory. And now we should be able to pop our pumpkin on our head. Here we go. Oh, looking snazzy. That's really cool. Looking suitably evil. And then look at this as well. We've got green stuff coming out of our closet. I wonder what's in there. We're going to go to Narnia. Okay, so looks like we've got a special here. And we got to fight these guys. This is going to be cool. Okay, so got some zombies to deal with. Out of the uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, we got lots of zombies that we found in our closet. And we probably need to move a bit faster. Don't get trapped by them. Okay, and then let's deal with some of you now. That's you. That's you. And back off. Okay, and then let's swing at you. Back off. Okay, so this is fun. Oh, almost not quite so fun there. Okay, we'll in an apple. And apples are quite appropriate because for those that don't know, Halloween isn't from America, where a lot of people seem to think it's from. It's actually from Ireland, from my country. Although I'm not in Ireland now, I live in Japan now, but part of Halloween, the whole thing of Halloween was that it used to be an end of year celebration, and it was also the time of the harvest. And in Ireland at that time, we're talking like well over 2,000 years ago. But at that time, the main fruit harvest was apples. So because of that, in Ireland, there are actually a lot of Halloween games that survive till today that involve apples in some way. Because if you harvest a ton of apples and you're having a party, well then what the hell are you going to do with all the apples? You can't eat. Unfortunately, you can't eat them all. It was time before you could do anything in terms of actually preserving them, so they had to be used in some way. And because of that, there were a lot of games involving apples. So we had like bobbing for apples, which was where you put oh my god, that's way too many zombies. But you put a lot of apples in a bucket or a basin of water, or anything really that will contain or will hold water. And then people either put their hands behind the back, or you tie their hands behind the back if they're the type of people that might cheat. Oh, we better run away. Eat some more apples. And then the idea was to take a bite out of an apple, or to get an apple out of the water. And the way you actually did it was you put your head right into the water, up against the apples, and then you press them down right to the bottom, and that would allow you to bite. But people who do it for the first time, what they'll try and do is they'll just try and put the head in and with their teeth take the apple. And because the stalks have been removed, there's nothing, you can't get any purchase on the apple, so they'll just end up basically pushing the apple down under the water and not being able to bite it. But the trick, as I said, is put your head right into the water. Wow, these are fast moving zombies. Oh, and this guy's come up. Oh, we're gonna die. There we go. Yeah. And then another game that we played was you get an apple and tie a string to the stalk and then hang the apple up, and then two people would compete, again, either hands behind back or hands tied behind back if they're cheaters, and then you would see who could bite the apple first. So again, it's difficult to bite the apple because you're not getting any purchase on it. It's swinging, and the best way to actually do it is to, because two people are competing, wait for the other person to try to bite the apple and basically use their face as something to put the apple up against and bite. But you can do it, unlike in the water, it is slightly easier to do it on your own as well. But yeah, so as I said, Halloween's from Ireland. A lot of fun and games to be had in Ireland. And looking at this, the Jackolantern comes from Ireland as well, because it's part of the Halloween tradition. But the original Jackolantern wasn't a pumpkin. The original Jackolantern was a vegetable called a turnip. And a turnip is basically of the same consistency. A lot of people who live in Europe will know what a turnip is. A lot of people, maybe here in Asia, where I live, you don't really see turnips, but a lot of countries have turnips now. But if you don't know what a turnip is, imagine like a big vegetable, about the same size, maybe slightly smaller than a pumpkin, at least a medium-sized pumpkin, and it's got the consistency of a potato. So inside it's hard, and what people used to do was, in Ireland before Christianity, we worshipped light as part of our religion. That was there before, as I said before, we became like this super Catholic country. And because of that, what we did was we made a big fire at the end of our year. At that time was the 31st of October. And the whole idea was that the summer was finished and winter was coming, and we needed a new light for the new year. So people would put out the fire in the hearth at their own, like where they live in their house, and then they would go to the meetup festival where there would be a massive fire, and the fire was considered to be sacred and holy, and then everybody would want to bring some of that fire back to relight their own fire in their home. And we better get out of there. And in order to bring the fire home, they needed something to put it in. So people would just carve out a turnip, because it was basically the biggest there was lots of turnips around, similar to the way there were lots of apples around at the harvest time. And then they'd make a hole, they'd put the fire in, and then they'd bring it home. And then because it was carrying something sacred, and it was like a tradition that people would do, then people started to decorate them and put faces on them and stuff like that. And that's where the whole carving comes from, carving the faces and stuff. But then when the potato famine hit Ireland, and basically a third of our population emigrated to America, to the New World, and that was around the 1850s. And when they emigrated, they basically popularized Halloween over there. So Halloween was being celebrated there because of like small communities of Irish people and all. But then they got a huge influx of Irish people, and then Halloween just took off. But then when Irish people were in America at that time, getting turnips was pretty difficult. But they found pumpkins, and pumpkins were a lot easier to carve than turnips were. So people said, yeah, let's start using pumpkins instead. So that's where the whole Jackolantern comes from, is basically the tradition of bringing part of the sacred fire back to your own hearth, or hearth, should I say. And then the other tradition of dressing up at Halloween, where that came from, was that at Halloween, people, again, we're talking thousands of years ago, believed that the door between this world and the spirit world would open on Halloween, like kind of the barrier between would weaken, and it mean that spirits were able to come back to this world. And if you had a neighbor who had passed away, who for whatever reason had a grudge against you, then people believed that they would come back and they would either haunt you or attack you or curse you or, just do nasty things to you. So people didn't want that to happen. So if your neighbor knows your face, well then what you change your face. So people would put paint on their face, and they would also change their clothes and wear something, different than they normally would. And the whole idea was to basically trick the ghost, which is where trick or treat comes from. So they would trick the spirit into not recognizing them. Then the spirit would go look for someone else instead. And over time then, again, because it was, a festival, people would then dress up, more elaborately as time went on. And because Halloween was associated with kind of scary things, then because the whole ghosts coming back and coming to get you, then witches and spirits, ghosts and zombies and all these things just became associated with Halloween as well. And some of them aren't part of the original Halloween tradition, but because Halloween became the time when those kind of things would come back or come into the world, then it became associated with Halloween. I'm gonna get overrun here, unless I can get out this thing. Okay, I think we're okay. We can run now. Yeah, there we go. But that's how dressing up came about on Halloween. Now, here in Japan, again, they do things differently because in Japan, there isn't really much awareness of cultures that are outside of Japan, apart from like there's a little bit of knowledge about, say, the US or America, but even that, it's not very strong. Oh, we can't go down there. That's not good because they're all coming for us. Okay, but we can't skirt around on this side and duck in there. But yeah, there isn't that much kind of knowledge of other cultures. So it means that when I've been teaching here, I've had to, kind of teach my students that Halloween isn't an American, Halloween isn't an American holiday, and also about like where the different traditions come from as well. So I thought, because I've been explaining this to people a lot in the last week or so, that it'd be nice to share it with you guys as well, because it's, a lot of people know Halloween obviously as a holiday, but then they don't necessarily know the traditions of it. And it's similar to a lot of countries. People will have heard of certain festivals, but not necessarily know where they originated or why certain things are done in the particular festival. So I always think it's nice to share a bit of your culture and let people know and be proud of your culture as well. Because in Ireland there was a lot of, I would say, like shame about Halloween, because originally Halloween was called Samhain, which in old Gaelic, which is like Gaeilge, is the Irish language, and in old Gaeilge, in English they call it Gaelic, well it's actually called Gaeilge in our native language. But in an old version, that Samhain means basically summer end, so that's why, you know, it was the 31st of October, because then that's when the summer ended, and then winter was about to begin, or they felt like they were getting into kind of autumn winter time and they had to prepare for it. But then when the Catholic Church came to Ireland, they tried to stop people. First of all, they tried to stop people from celebrating Halloween at all, because they saw it as, you know, this pagan festival which had absolutely nothing to do with Christianity, and it was basically condemning the people who were celebrating it to hell because it was unchristian. But then the church quickly realized that, you know, it was too heavily rooted in Ireland, and because of that, then they decided to do what they did with a lot of festivals and co-opt it. So like the likes of Christmas and stuff, you know, aren't actually, Christmas isn't the birthday of Jesus, it's a festival that was celebrated somewhere else, and the Christian church had to find some way to make sure that, you know, they basically stamped Christianity on top of it. And that's what they did with Halloween as well, is that they said to people that, okay, you can have your festival, but now it's not Samhain anymore, it's All Hallows Eve or All Saints Eve, because November the 1st is All Saints Day. So like we have Christmas Eve, there was also the day before All Hallows Day would be All Hallows Eve, or All Hallows Evening, to give it its full name. And then because people like to shorten names that are too long, it then, first of all, the all was dropped, so it was Hallows Evening, and then the evening was shortened to Een rather than Eve, so then it became Halloween, and that's where the name Halloween comes from. And then it became this sort of Christianized festival, but at the same time it wasn't Christian, because they had ghosts and skeletons and all these kind of things. And obviously the Catholic Church don't believe in ghosts, because they believe that, can we go up there? I don't think we can. No, we can't. Okay. But, you know, they believe in heaven and purgatory and hell. So when you die, you go to one of those places. Your spirit doesn't hang around here on earth. So all of those things, witches and ghosts and skeletons, were very unchristian still. So because of that, there was, you know, a reluctance for Ireland as a country to say to people, listen, you know, this is our tradition, this is our culture, we want to share it with you. Rather, it was a case of, you know, they were happy for people to believe that Halloween was an American holiday, because then they didn't get the blame in their eyes, you know, the blame of having this pagan holiday be, you know, coming from their country. But now, because the Catholic Church has lost a lot of its power in Ireland, there's a kind of a pushback on that, where people now are more proud of their culture and they want to share it with the world. So people aren't afraid to say, listen, Halloween is actually from our country and it's our tradition, and this is how, you know, this is what we used to do, this is what we do now. Oh, and look at all these guys. But I want to get over here because this looks interesting. What can we do here? Just use the portal. Is this going to send me back? Okay, so this just sends you back in the house. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. Running around the little Halloween village there, and I guess it's only going to be here today, but it's fun. So if you want, have a check, have a check of the game. If you have the game, all you have to do is come into your house, get your pumpkin head, and then basically go into the closet and have some fun. And if you don't have the game, well, it's a reason, I think, among all the many other good reasons for you to try out the game now, just have a bit of fun at Halloween. But that is going to be the end of this particular video, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please consider hitting the like button and sharing with your friends, because I think the more exposure this game gets, the better, because it's getting better all the time. And the guys at Larkon Studios are doing a great job, and I really like our pumpkin head, but it's hard to get a view. Maybe I can turn them around. No. There we go. But yeah, that's it from me, and I really do hope to see all of you next time. Goodbye. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button there on the right and check out some other videos here on the left.